Hey y'all, it's your captain for all things creative coming at you with the Love Island Beyond the Villa Season 2, Episode 3 and 4. Quick review. All I have to say right now is Charlie gave the blonde bandits a run for their money. So if you are new to this channel, welcome. Please like, share, subscribe, stay a while. If you are returning, thank you so much for rocking with us, and let's get into the drama. Okay, so first of all, Amaya and Brian was the main focus of like episode 3. So as I said last time, we all know that Amaya is supposed to be the star and the glue holding the cast together, and she also ties last season and this season together because she actually meets up with Kaylor, and her and Kaylor are known for being, very emotional and crying a lot. So it was kind of fun that they have formed a friendship. They didn't cry together, which was cool. But at the end of the day, the drama in episode 3 wasn't as good as the drama in episode 4. So let me just summarize some of the main points of episode 3 before we get to the real meat and potatoes of this last drop of episodes that went on in episode 4. So Amaya gets a new apartment, and you see her and her dad kind of, bond about her leaving the nest. And Amaya also meets up with Brian, and they finally clear the air about their breakup. And Brian realizes that, the timing was not great, and he confesses that he's been struggling. Okay, and the last bit of interesting tidbit of episode 3 and this last drop involving Taylor and Clarke would be the struggle that they're having about, how to move forward in their relationship. And what they got going on reminds me of that lyric in Girls Just Want to Have Fun, where they say, some boys take a beautiful girl and hide her away from the rest of the girl. Blah, not the girls, but hide her away from the rest of the world. I want to be the one who walks in the sun. And that's what Clarke was trying to tell Taylor. Like, you trying to hide me in this horse ranch? And I have this opportunity, to do great things. And I think in Taylor's mind, he's the birthday. He's like, I have the money. And to be fair to him, he's a rodeo star. He's affiliated. I've seen videos of him strolling. So he's part of the Divine Nine. And I think they probably did get the Arby's deal because of him and his little cowboy rodeo situation. But at the end of the day, Clarke has her own dreams too. And that is the difference, my dear, between Nicolandria and what Taylor and Clarke got going on. Because if you look at Olandria's interview, she's been saying that every dream she's had, Nick has made come true. She's like, she wants to be a model. He's like, bet. You're going to do this campaign with me. She was like, I want to go travel the world. Bet. Nick took her to Greece. It's like the difference between a man that really loves you and wants to make your dreams come true and enlarge your world versus a boy, honestly, who is dependent on you. And I know Clarke took care of Taylor, and I think he does like her, but he's going to push her away very fast if he keeps trying to keep her in the barn and not let her pursue her dreams. And I promise anybody listening that anybody that really loves you will help make your dreams come true. And anybody that I've ever fell in love with helped me and showed me that they were invested in me doing well. And that's part of how, they proved their love. But anybody that just wants to keep you around just to keep you around and then be a dream crusher like the rest of the world is, why have them when, you could do bad all by yourself? But let's get to the main event of the last drop of the Love Island Season 2 episodes, which was Charlie really, really holding his own against the blonde bandits. Now, I thought it was a little cute, the last drop, when Hannah called herself standing up for Iris, when she got in Pepe's face a little bit. But she didn't have anxiety and all that when she was calling him bald and all that stuff. She was, acting like she was about to be the enforcer of the season. I knew, especially from that episode, that Hannah and Iris vowed to have each other back, and it seemed like they felt like they were going to run the season and run everything. And I think that's part of the reason why Bella and Coco and Clarke and Grayson, they have that little power saying, hey, they feel like they're being left out. It's definitely because there's some clique that has formed, even though they're acting like they're all friends. It's clear that the HBICs or, the head of the Love Island Villa squad, even though the producers chose Amaya, Iris and Hannah have formed an alliance, and they're really trying to run everything in the season, including this episode when they call themselves trying to run Charlie's life, and Hannah decides to get the idea that she's gonna, take the time at the little getaway that they're doing, where they're also gonna do TJ's birthday. She basically decides to put her foot down and tell him that he's not allowed to do any more podcasts about her. Now, the thing about privilege, I think, is that people forget that you can't buck on other people's free will. Even God doesn't interfere with people's free will, So you can, of course, establish boundaries and, tell people what you're comfortable with. But people, again, have their own free will, and they can choose or choose not to listen, to what you say. And then you, as a person with your own free will, you either distance yourself from them, or, try to find other strategies or maybe even another village, to surround yourself with if, those people don't match up to what you want for your life. But at the end of the day, everybody has free will. So you're not running Charlie's life, Hannah, and as much as I do see how all the Love Island contestants have suffered, from people going too far with their parasocial relationships and even downright hateful with, tweets and all those things. Charlie basically said the same thing that, what's that girl name? I keep forgetting, the Hawaiian one. Oh my gosh. Dasha Bella. He said the same thing that Dasha said, was that, people are doing their interviews about their experiences. And because the Love Island experiences revolved around coupling up with each other, when they go on podcasts, people want to find out about what went down in the couple. And, it's not like Charlie or her are going down to the podcast spaces, to talk about, the people in the couple in particular, but it's because all of them, get invited to do these things, and there will be a fool not to take advantage of the opportunities, because Hannah herself be on the podcast. Like, all of them are trying to, capitalize on their little 15 minutes of fame. That's why they're all on the show. So again, it's a little hypocritical and definitely overstepping to try to run somebody's life and try to police their opportunities. I do think if Coco wasn't there, this point would have been missed. So shout out to Coco for being the first to break down what Charlie was trying to say, and that, yes, he has the right to say his side of the story on podcast. And then Dasha backed him up too, which Hannah did not like at the end of the day. And I think Hannah, I think she might indeed have anxiety, but it does seem like she broke down because she was losing the argument in a way. And at the end of the day as well, I do think that when it comes to the Iris and TJ situation, the fact that, Hannah and Charlie were having an A and B conversation, and then Iris and TJ tried to butt their way in, and Charlie put them in their place real quick. I think the other cast members thought it was a flag on the play when he blew up Iris's spot about talking mess about TJ's, TikToks and posts. And I think Charlie felt like he was being backed up against a corner. So that's why he spilled the tea about how, Iris and Pepe was actually talking bad about TJ. And he stood up for TJ in a way by saying, well, he's young, he, might not know how to move. But that definitely gagged Iris. She did not expect her antics to be laid out like that by Charlie in the argument. But that's why you don't butt in when somebody is cornered like that, because, somebody who doesn't know what to do and doesn't know how they're going to get out of that corner is just going to scratch and fight anybody that's blocking the way in. Unfortunately, Iris and TJ caught a stray. And I 100% believe, Charlie, that Iris and Pepe was talking smack about TJ, which again makes me feel like Pepe knows why he's not apologizing, to Iris, because again, none of them were closed off. Iris does seem like she was double dipping, especially when, she had left the villa with Pepe and then immediately went to go see TJ behind Pepe's back. But at the end of the day, I think even though Pepe doesn't want to apologize for the cheating allegations, and I don't think he should for that, I do think Pepe does have to own up to whatever lies he told about TJ when it comes to the Grayson rumor and even the Hannah rumor. So yeah, I see everybody's side a little bit, but Charlie, he really burst the Blonde Bandits bubbles, because he basically said, listen, y'all not running things over here. I go on podcasts to talk about me and my experience, which he has every right to. And when Iris and TJ tried to butt in, he basically was like, I know y'all not trying to act like I'm the bad guy, when I actually heard y'all two talking smack, at a time when I was trying to play the middleman and be a friend to you, TJ, by standing up for you when Iris and Pepper was talking smack about you. And again, shout out to Coco for helping unscramble all this mess, because I did watch that scene twice just to make sure that I wasn't missing anything or being too hard on anybody, because ideally I'd like to stand up for the women's, because it's hard out here in this misogynistic world. But at the end of the day, Charlie had more of a right to say what he said in this argument that went through. And I think the Blonde Bandits, unfortunately, did not anticipate that Charlie would be able to stand up for himself, because they had that gang up planned. And again, Coco and Bella messed up whatever they were planning to do in terms of gang up on him. And then Jeremiah also had a good role in, meeting the situation. But it was interesting that Hannah wanted to call herself being mad at Beldasha at the end of the episode, which is very interesting because, again, she, I think, is strategic about her emotions and her tears. It's like she played gangster in Pepe's face. And then when she tried to run Charlie and he backed her and Iris and TJ off of him, then she cried and was weak. But then behind the scenes, she started talking about how Beldasha's back and tried to kind of fuel the fires against Beldasha. And I don't like that. So for now, the Blonde Bandits, y'all seem to, be friends with each other, but try to be a friend to other people too, please. So say what y'all thought, and bye.